Hello everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, which is Marketing 101, understanding how and where to get started with marketing automation. And the speaker today will be Mario Kyriakou. And just as a quick overview, Ratio Partners, we started last year, and we are specializing in customer experience. So we look at everything from personalization to marketing automation to analytics to A/B testing and so on and so forth. And we really look at how we can increase our clients' digital maturity and also their the business growth by bringing together strategy and technology to deliver relevant and meaningful user experiences that relate directly back to business metrics. And we do that primarily using the Sitecore platform, but also with other tools and technologies as well. So I will hand over to Mario to start the presentation now. Mario, over to you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Before we go into today's presentation, during today we'll cover what marketing automation is, what it isn't, and we'll also tick off the main areas that you need to tackle before starting any sort of marketing automation project. But before we go into that, I just wanted to cover what, for a lot of clients that we speak to here at Ratio, is sort of the main driver to kickstarting a marketing automation project. And that is that marketing takes time. I mean, marketing has always been a time-consuming affair, and even with new technology coming into existence, marketers still spend an awful lot of time on basic tasks. I mean, this quote from HubSpot I always think is great. I'll give you an idea that marketers spend over 7 hours per week on relatively basic tasks such as creating, sending emails, collecting and organizing and analyzing data in order to present to various parts of their business. And to put that into context, that's about 48 days a year spent on basic tasks. So for a lot of organizations, the ability to improve operational efficiency, to allow what, for a lot of organizations, they consider these are basic tasks, to automate the process so that marketers can devote more of their time to working on areas of the business which they feel is going to deliver more optimal value. It's kind of the key driver for a lot of organizations when looking in, researching around marketing automation. But what is marketing automation? Well, at its utter simplest, marketing automation is a software and a tactic that enables marketers to automate simple marketing tasks that traditionally they would have done manually. I mean, in essence, it allows marketers the ability to conduct a one-to-one conversation with visitors throughout the customer journey, from awareness through to purchase, post-purchase, and right through to advocacy. I suppose in day-to-day practical terms, it allows an organization to automate all those customer interactions by surfacing content to users based on their interests and also their stage of their current journey. For a sales perspective, or it enables your sales team to prioritize their time by scoring and targeting leads that are ready for a sales conversation based on their current value to your business. And it also allows you to deliver, with the ability to deliver content information based on a deep understanding of data. And we're going to come into, we're going to touch upon these later on, but I mean, data is a foundation of any successful marketing automation project. The ability to have a deep understanding of what drives your users, what their interests are, allows you the ability to surface the right information to that audience. Well, as I mentioned, at its basic level, marketing automation is just another tactic that a business can leverage. It's up there with email marketing, personalization, a whole load of things that you can do. It's a tactic in the arsenal of marketers to deliver a better experience, and it's really about delivering a better experience. I mean, the desire to obtain operational efficiencies by reducing the volume of manual work is key, which enables marketers to focus their efforts on the more valuable activities, which are the key drivers for businesses around adopting this as a tactic and software. But there's much, much more to it than this. Yes, reducing time for your marketing and sales team is important, but the true driver behind the adoption of marketing automation is the desire to deliver a better customer experience. I mean, here at Ratio Partners, we often talk to clients about customer experience being the heart of any strategy, and and for good reason. I mean, this quote from Gartner, defining what customer experience is: the practice of designing and reacting to customer interactions that meet or exceed customer expectations and thus increase customer satisfaction, loyalty, and efficacy. I mean, that's the real driver, the desire to deliver an optimal experience to your clients. I mean, before considering any sort of approach, we ask our clients, what kind of experience do their consumers experience with their own brands? Are they receiving impersonal emails that, for example, anyone would receive? Are they receiving content in context based on their interests and where they are in their journey with your brand? Building a better experience is the real driver behind marketing automation. And what marketing automation isn't? Well, it isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to marketing. It isn't about delivering an impersonal experience, an experience that every consumer of your brand will receive. And it definitely isn't about selling, though selling is super important. But marketing automation shouldn't be seen as just another way to automate the sending of offers and discounts. It's about understanding the whole customer journey, exceeding expectations at every touch point. And throughout the webinar, we'll touch upon how sales and how marketing automation does actually help organizations to sell, but it's not about just automating the simple dispatch of a discount offer. It's about delivering a richer experience, which will ultimately lead to better conversions and therefore hitting your bottom line. How do you? A lot of questions. I mean, it's funny. This slide came up from a conversation we had with a client recently, where they weren't sure whether marketing automation was something they should consider. And actually, for a lot of organizations, it's something which they shouldn't consider. I mean, like all technology and all tactics, it's something which you need to think deeply about to assess whether actually this is something which we need to consider as a business. A couple of questions we normally ask people that basically ask of themselves are, do you send batch and blast emails? This is a classic example. Lots of organizations do this. A marketer might send 2 or 3 emails a week. You create the emails manually, and you're dispatching it to your entire subscriber base, as opposed to having a deep segmentation and sending out a dozen emails instead, based on people's specific requests or content they're consuming on the website. Do you have a current way of nurturing your prospects? If you don't, what is actually happening to those leads? Which comes on to point number 3. How do you handle leads that don't immediately purchase? Now, organizations which are capturing data, a percentage of that will and always convert to an immediate sell. They may have been researching, and at that point they're ready to purchase. Well, actually, 9 times out of 10, those prospects won't be in a position to purchase. So how do you handle those? Do you have a system and process in place to manage that? Does marketing have a different interpretation to sales of what a sales-ready lead is? This is more of a B2B question, though I've come across a couple of examples from B2C clients that have a similar problem. But does marketing think a lead is X and sales thinks it's Y? How do you measure marketing ROI? What information does marketing hand over to sales? Are you handing over a name and an email? Do you hand over something a bit richer that, for example, do you provide information on pages visited, information consumed, for example? So I think it's always good as before starting any sort of project to ask yourself these sort of basic questions. Now, lots of marketers have heard about marketing automation, and a lot of marketers have heard that marketing automation is actually geared towards B2B. They don't feel it's something for B2C organizations. And there's actually a good reason for that. When marketing automation started as a software about 15, 16 years ago, it was adopted very early on by B2B organizations. And you can understand why. Within a B2B organization, they are focused on lead generation, they're focused on the alignment of marketing to sales, they're focused on improving efficiencies for their sales team, and the ability of marketing automation to nurture leads over a longer period, to score leads, to allow sales teams to focus on the so-called hot leads, made sense for B2B organizations, and that's why a lot of them were early adopters. But, is it really a B2B tool? Well, not really. I mean, in recent years, a lot of B2C organizations have started to adopt this as a tool and a tactic for obvious reasons, that B2C organizations ultimately have the the same goals as a B2B organization. You're dealing with humans. You want to deliver a better experience. I mean, all organizations want to deliver the right content to the right person at the right time. They all want to deliver a great customer experience to their users. All organizations, regardless of what you do, want to win more business, and we all want to improve operational efficiencies. And there's much more to this. But the point here is that B2C and B2B are very similar, and therefore a B2C marketer shouldn't be put off that by the idea that this is actually a B2B marketer's tool, and it really isn't. So what can we automate? Well, potentially there's hundreds and hundreds of things we can automate. You probably won't want to automate everything. You probably just want to focus on the key things of your business. And we always say here at Ratio that when clients want to start a project, always look at starting small. You know, identify what's the minimum that we need to do to get a project going, so we can get some data coming in, and we can see what we need to optimize, iterate, and improve over the longer term. But some of the basic and some of the common things that a lot of clients look to automate, things like content consumption. You know, what content are people viewing on the site, and therefore can we trigger emails based on a contextual conversation based on their interests, time lapse, position within the marketing funnel, goals triggered, search queries within site, the number of visits a user's having to someone's website, their lead score, a CRM update. You know, has a sales guy gone out to meet a client recently and updated their CRM file, and you know, can you link that to the automation system? Yes, you can. And form submission, and these are some of the common ones, but there's actually dozens and dozens more. Data. We're going to cover quite a bit on data, but you know, data is super key to marketing automation. Data is what powers, I suppose, any type of marketing project. The ability to understand your consumers' interests and to extract insights and actionable insights and optimize experience is what enables you to run a successful program. But it's not just web analytics data. It's basically looking at all your data silos, you know, where you store in customer information. It could be an email system, it could be your website, it could be your CRM system, you could have your call center databases, social, you know, you could have a rich depository of information about your consumers across multiple touch points and multiple databases. And how do we pull that into one central depository to try and understand as much about our customers as possible, and therefore try and deliver a richer experience based on that insight? It's just a software. Well, a lot of people we speak to, you know, think of marketing automation as a software that you can buy from a technology vendor, and yes, ultimately it is a software, but it's not something which you just purchase, plug in, and you know, leave running and it will just happen. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You need to have a plan and a strategy, and ultimately, people power the success of a project. So we like to say that with any successful marketing automation project, it's about 80% planning and people and 20% software. And actually, throughout the presentation, we're not going to go too deep into software because, I believe that it's the upfront strategy, the upfront planning that enables a project to be successful. Once you understand what you want to achieve as a business, then you can start identifying which technology you need to purchase and integrate based on a robust plan and framework that you put in place. So where do you get started with your first project? The temptation with a lot of organizations once they purchased a marketing automation system is to just automate everything they're doing currently with their current marketing strategy. And that might be the right way to go, but I would try and resist that temptation and try and treat this as a completely new project. When working with clients, we've identified sort of 9 key areas that you need to tackle. I wouldn't be put off or scared by the potential volume of work. What I normally say when speaking to clients is to look at each of these 9 steps and identify what we need to do as a minimum across each step to start a project. I mean, try and do as much of the steps as possible, but just by doing the minimum on each, you'll have a good framework, and then you can start a project, and the information you acquire will enable you to build up a more iterative, more complex project over the years to come. So where to get started. Well, the first step, get your stakeholders involved. Getting your stakeholders involved in any marketing automation project is key to success, because marketing automation has the potential to impact a much wider section of your business, not just marketing. You know, your classic key stakeholders, IT, your CFO, your CEO. It's important to understand what are their main concerns and how does this specific project help to overcome those objectives. I mean, with your CFO, they're focused on operational efficiencies, for example. They're focused on keeping the costs down. So actually, how do you position a project like this to say, yes, it requires investment, but actually over the longer term, we're going to get a return on that investment. I mean, I've included here two classic stakeholders within most businesses, your CMO and your head of sales. With your CMO, they always have a concern about measuring and proving the marketing of ROI, not just within the marketing department, but proving it, the worth of marketing to the wider business. So you need to position marketing automation to show that it will enable marketing to prove the ROI of campaigns, deliver better quality leads, enable sales to close business quicker and generate more revenue over the longer period. With sales, they normally have, you know, classic concerns around hitting sales targets, beating competitors, improving business efficiencies, and acquiring customers at sort of a lower cost per acquisition. So how do you position automation as a solution that enables, you know, your sales director's team to spend less time just focus, you know, less time calling up leads which are just not ready, they're not leads, focusing time on leads which are qualified, hit a certain score, and enabling them to increase basically operational efficiency so they can just focus on what matters. Well, point number two, I mean, it's super important to set business goals and objectives. The inclination, I suppose, within lots of marketing departments is to think of digital goals as being the driver. And what we normally say is actually step outside of marketing, work with your other stakeholders, and try and identify what as a business you're trying to achieve. What are the key products you're looking to launch, trying to push? What are your revenue targets? What is truly important to your business? I suppose the way to answer this is what keeps your sales director or CEO up at night, you know, and their concerns are likely to be your business objectives. And once you've identified what's important to the business, then you can take a step back and look at the digital goals. And this is where data comes into play again, because at that point you can then analyze your analytics, look into your data sets to try and figure out what are the digital goals that historically have driven your users towards and support achieving your business objectives. So it's important to put in place this framework of business objectives and digital goals. Now, point number three, I mean, develop KPIs for each goal. So once we've put in place our digital goals, we need to put in place some KPIs to measure the success, because unless we do, it will be hard to gauge whether the project is generating ROI. All businesses generate a lot of data, but just because you can measure it doesn't mean you should report on it. Define what's important to the business in terms of metrics. Way we look at it is identify the actionable insights which, when improved upon, have a material effect upon the business. But I mean, some of the key KPIs that you should look to develop, you need KPIs for marketing, and you need classic KPIs to support awareness, lead generation, funnel conversion metrics, sales. As I said before, marketing automation impacts more beyond just the marketing department. It truly impacts the sales department. So you want to put in place KPIs to measure that. And with customer success, you want to have KPIs to measure cross-sell of new products, retention and upsell, and customer satisfaction actually is very important, and that feeds into marketing automation being a way to deliver a more optimal, improved customer experience. So having a way to measure that is a good place to start. Determine the business system of record. Now, it's important before you start any project that you've defined your system of record. I mean, for many organizations, the CRM forms the central system of record for their business. It's like the central depository where marketing and sales information resides. I mean, traditionally, you might have a marketing department which will look into their web analytics. You've got a sales department looking into their CRM. Marketing say something is successful because they're looking into their own reports, and sales say something actually that's not successful based on our own reports. It's good to identify a single system, pull that data so you're on the same page as the other departments. So you can both say this was successful or not successful. It also helps to solve problems that you may have stored up for later on. I mean, 3 key areas: technology, people, and process. By thinking of this before you start a project, it enables you to tackle these 3 areas. For example, with technology, what do we have in place at the moment? What needs to change? How will the marketing automation system talk to the CRM and vice versa? With people, at this point, it's something you may want to bring IT into the project. For example, there may be integration between your CRM, your CMS, your marketing automation, and at that point you need to bring those stakeholders to have that conversation. And processes as well. Processes are key. I mean, at its basic, a CRM system is one massive dump of information. It's processes that allow information to be organized along lines that make sense to the business. Working with the other departments. I said this before, obviously, stakeholders are key to a successful project. Now, working with sales to agree on funnel stages and definitions is super important. Now, lots of organizations have already built marketing funnels. I mean, they're classic ways for organizations to, I suppose, pull a customer journey into a sort of linear process. I mean, we know that prospects don't necessarily travel along a linear journey, but it's a way of presenting that information to the business. And there are classic examples of marketing funnels. I think the serious decisions demand waterfall. It's something that's adopted by a lot of organizations. But it's important to work with sales to identify what are the key stages within the funnel. What do those stages look like? And to define the definitions. You know, with a lot of organizations, what is a marketing qualified lead? And when should this be passed to sales? I mean, it's key to define this with sales earlier on, so therefore you can program this into your automation plans, and therefore you can then work with sales just to optimize it on a continual basis. And then it goes throughout the rest of the process in terms of what is a sales qualified lead, what is an opportunity, do we have a common agreement within the business to understand what deal stages are, value, the probability of converting to a sale, for example. And again, working with sales, you need to agree on lead scoring definitions. I mean, one of the benefits of having a marketing automation system is the ability to score a lead. And from sales point of view, that enables them to prioritize their time by working on leads which hit a certain value, have been scored a certain amount of points. I mean, and there's 2 main areas. There's behavioral scores and demographic scores. Behavioral scores are simply how much is your visitor interested in you. Demographic scores indicate how much you're interested in your visitor. As a business, you need to agree that following at a minimum. And as I said before, don't worry about the complexity of all of this. It's about what do we need as a minimum to get going. I mean, with some of these behaviors, we're looking for what are the behaviors we're looking for our prospects to do online? How should we weight those behaviors? How do those behaviors degrade over time? With demographics, we're looking for the type of demographics we're looking for in an ideal prospect. How will we profile demographic information? What systems will we use to cleanse data? How often will we cleanse our prospect list? And between behavioral scores and demographic scores, between what your visitor thinks of you and what you as a business value in your visitor, the truth is somewhere in the middle is going to be your ideal prospect, and that's the sort of starting point for scoring your leads. Know who your customer is. Well, it's for organizations, defining who you're targeting is important. So do you have a robust persona framework? Do you know all the customer segments who purchase your product. If you don't, then you need to codify your audience within the business. Define personas, do some customer research, interview customers, interview key stakeholders in the business, and really get an in-depth profile of who they are, create avatars, define who they are, their challenges, what they're trying to achieve, and ultimately map what you as a business how your business can help solve their problems. You don't need to use Star Trek avatars, it's just something that we at Ratio I like doing. Content. Well, content is key. I mean, assessing and mapping content to your funnel stages and personas. The whole idea behind content marketing is to get the right content to the right person at the right time. And, obviously, that requires content. But what content appeals to our audience? Well, before creating content, all businesses have existing content. So assess what you have in the business. Now, we've already looked at the fact that you need to create a marketing funnel framework for this project. Now, once you have that in place, look at all of your content and see how it maps against that funnel. Do you have a lot of content that's more top of funnel? Do you have content that's targeting bottom of funnel? Literally go through your content and tag. And at the end of it, you'll have an understanding of where your content fits within that funnel. And then you can look at doing a gap analysis. And you may have discovered that actually we've got a lot of content that is useful for prospects at the bottom of the funnel. Perhaps it's more product oriented. And actually what you want to create is more awareness content that's good for SEO, that supports inbound, that is shareable, and you want to create that type of content. So, where are you missing content in the funnel? Do you have enough content for every persona at each stage of their journey, from awareness through to purchase and advocacy? Because as we said before, during this process, during this project, you may have identified a couple of customer sub-segments that you need to be targeting and you want this project to target. So do you have enough content to serve that audience? And is your content eminently shareable? And by that I mean, is the content of a high enough quality that not only will it support SEO, not only is it good for inbound, but once people have interacted with your content, do they want to share that and therefore amplify the reach of your content and therefore the potential reach of this project and therefore increasing the likelihood of engaging with new and more prospects. And finally, step number 9, create a content calendar. I mean, where now you've identified your content gaps. You now need to produce a content calendar that probably stretches for months in advance, because now that you've identified what you need to create, you need to have a constant stream of relevant, good quality content to keep your pipeline, keep your funnel primed, and keep your prospects continually nurtured. I mean, on the screen I've got an example of Trello. It's an online tool. It's really cool. The basic version is free for most marketers, and it basically enables you to have an editorial calendar online that you can then share with your wider team. But the key is you require content to feed your inbound and outbound campaigns, and this will ultimately enable you to deliver the right content to the right person at the right time. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. That brings me on to the Q&A. We've got about 10-15 minutes for questions, but before I hand back over to Steve to hear the first question, I just want to let everyone know about a workshop that we're running next week in London on getting started with marketing automation. There's lots of technologies out there, from Eloqua to HubSpot to Marketo. One we work with quite commonly is Sitecore with clients, and we're running a workshop in London with clients on how to get started with automation with their Sitecore software. And the details are on screen if anyone's interested. So what's the first question, Steve?
Great, thank you very much, Mario. So we've got a question from James, who's asking, what if I'm using Sitecore and also Eloqua within the organisation, and I want to connect the two.
That's a good one, actually. I think I'm going to write that down, actually. That comes up every now and then in the client conversations. It's relatively simple. You can set up a campaign codes within Sitecore. You can categorize them as Eloqua campaigns. Then you can append the campaign code to your Eloqua campaign link. Then when a user clicks on that email link and comes back into Sitecore, you can recognize the code and start to personalize the journey based on that code being triggered in the same way you would with a goal. We can then use that trigger to maybe serve further relevant content or put them in or drive them through a specific marketing automation plan. And because we're using a campaign code, we can also measure how these campaigns perform in analytics. And by doing that, you can link up the two systems relatively simply without having to re-engineer the code and integrations, at least in a simple scenario like this. But again, it varies depending on what you want to achieve as a business.
Great, thank you, Mario. We've also got a question from Rachel, who's asked, what if we want to connect marketing automation into our CRM system, such as Dynamics? How do we then tie those two journeys together?
Yeah, I mean, it's something which happens quite often, actually. I was working with a client recently who used Sitecore, Eloqua, and Salesforce, and they wanted to have the ability to automate across all three touch points. You can, I mean, this is something where you normally bring your IT and your agency on board. You can integrate, for example, your Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce installation into your Sitecore website, into your marketing automation system, and allow you to then automate the journeys based on information, for example, say stored within the CRM. So CRM contact gets updated, and therefore we want to trigger specific emails. And then we could also push out information from your website into your CRM, for example, having richer information about what a contact is doing on the website. You know, you want to feed that information through yourself. So you can link up the two. And it's something quite common with a lot of clients.
Great, okay, thank you very much for that, Mario. So I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation today. We haven't got any more questions for the time being, but we will be making this recording available after this session on our website, ratiopartners.co.uk. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to email us on the email address on our website. If you're also interested in a previous webinar we ran called Getting Started with Personalization, then we also have that available on the website as well. So just remains me to say thank you very much for your time today to watch the webinar, and I wish you the best for the rest of the day.